I'm Kathy Byrd. I'm a retired pediatric ophthalmologist. I'm married to Ken Byrd, who is a retired OBGYN.
I met her in the operating room at the Methodist Hospital, Memphis, Tennessee. One of the other residents said, "Dr. Byrd, you know she likes you." And I said, "No way." And then I met her, and then I asked her on a date. It was crazy, first date. I'm not sure exactly when I wanted to marry her, but I know I didn't want to go out with anybody else in my life. I never wanted to date another woman.
I liked being with someone in the medical profession because we really seemed to get each other, and we just fit together. It didn't even feel like dating. We had a blended family. Ken had 3 kids, ages 8, 6, and 4. When we first met, they lived in Chicago. We lived in Memphis. Soon thereafter, we had Allison. She was born just before our 1-year anniversary, and 3 years later, we had Rachel. So we had 5 kids, and it was a busy, crazy, hectic, wonderful life.
You know, I had to go back and forth to Chicago to visit my kids, and I would spend 10 hours driving to Chicago, pick up my kids, drive back to Memphis. And I finally said, you know, there's got to be a quicker way to do this. So back in the early 90s, I said, you know, let me see if I can learn to fly. I'd already flown in the Air Force. I had some experience flying, and 2 months later I had my pilot's license, and then another few months I bought my first airplane.
Our oldest daughter, Allison, had graduated from University of Georgia and was about to start grad school in Boston. So Ken flew her up there to get her settled. Unfortunately, when he was supposed to fly back, there was a hurricane in the southeast, Hurricane Isaac. Last I talked to Ken, he had a stop in Virginia, and I didn't want him to come because of the hurricane, but he was convinced that he could fly around it, and that's what he did.
What everybody thinks I was doing was heading for an airport down in Grenada, which was the next big major airport within a range of fuel. But it turns out I didn't have as much range as I thought.
When they finally found the wreckage, it was in the middle of the forest. The rescuers were super careful getting him out, for which I'm eternally grateful, because it turns out Ken had 2 fractured vertebrae, and one wrong move would have left him paralyzed for life. They were able to get him out of the plane, get him intubated with a breathing tube, and they had to get him out on 4-wheelers to get him down to the helicopter and fly him to the hospital. When they first brought him in, he was in kidney failure, so they couldn't even start putting him back together until his kidneys came back functioning. He had crushed the whole right side of his skull. He had 28 broken bones in total, broken arm, broken leg, ribs, a collapsed lung. He was in pretty bad shape. But the people at the trauma hospital did what they've been trained to do, and they just put him back together piece by piece.
I was in a rehabilitation hospital. I was in so much pain. I had no idea why I was in so much pain. All I remember is when Kathy came to visit me, that was the happiest time of the day. And that's why I finally said, what do I have to do to get home?
I had to go back to work 2 weeks after the accident because I was a solo private practitioner in a pediatric ophthalmology practice, and I couldn't just let my practice go away because Ken never got another paycheck. When you're going through something like this, you sort of turn into a robot and just do what you have to do, but there's several moments of crystal clear thought. One of these is when Amanda, Ken's office manager, called to let me know that he had a good disability policy. She told me what the numbers were, and at that point I knew that even if Ken never worked again, we'd still be okay.
When Kathy says that my office manager told her I had this policy, it was like it just dropped out from heaven, right? And here it was there saving our life. I never dreamed I'd ever need it in 100 million years. Yeah, no, never thought I would need it.
having a disability policy like Ken had made night and day difference about what the rest of our life looked like. We had both worked really hard with productive careers to ensure that we would get to retire and have a nice future together. A year after the accident, when the dust settled, Ken was able to ride bikes and kayak, and we were ready to do those things together. So we made a 5-year plan to get everything paid down to the point that I could quit working and we could play together. We started looking for a home in the Southeast, somewhere closer to family, closer to the coast, and we found Bluffton and bought a home within 1 day of being here. My life is fulfilling here, waking up every morning, being grateful for all that I have in this beautiful place with our wonderful family.